As a constitutional law attorney, former senior legal advisor and personal counsel to President Donald J. Trump, Jenna Ellis believes in the rule of law and the importance of integrity in our elections. And she's ready to tackle the big cultural and legal issues facing America. This is the Jenna Ellis Show. Here is your host, Jenna Ellis.
Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Jenna Ellis Show. I'm Jenna Ellis, and the Joe Biden impeachment inquiry has finally begun. So Speaker McCarthy earlier this week has announced through a letter to Congress that he has opened an impeachment inquiry. So what is that going to actually entail? Who are the managers? Well, one of them, Chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Jim Jordan, dropped by my radio show, and we're going to hear from him as far as what the details are. And I'm also going to ask one of the House leaders, my good friend Representative Mike Johnson, about the Office of Legal Counsel during the Trump administration and their advisory opinion suggesting that under the rules of impeachment for the House, that an inquiry can only begin when the House votes for it by majority vote. That clearly hasn't happened. Nancy Pelosi set a very different precedent with the first Trump impeachment. So is that going to stick? Is that a basis that Joe Biden and some of the others that will receive upcoming subpoenas from the inquiry have a basis to object to those? Well, we are getting started with a whole other impeachment drama, and I will be talking to both of those members of Congress right after this. With inflation, the banking world collapse, and everything that Joe Biden is doing not to protect America, you need to make sure to secure your financial health, especially in retirement. And hey, if you're a millennial like me, that actually is sooner than you think. You need to start now, even if you are a millennial or a Gen Zer, to make sure that your financial health is actually healthy when we get to retirement. And Legacy Precious Metals has a revolutionary new online platform that allows you to invest in gold and silver online in real time. In a few easy steps, you can open an account online, select your metals of choice, and choose to have them stored in a vault or shipped right to your door. You'll have access to a dashboard where you can track your portfolio growth in real time anytime. You'll see transparent pricing on each coin and bar, and this puts you in complete control of your money. The platform is free to sign up for. Visit legacypminvestments.com and open your account and see this new investing platform for yourself. Gold hedges against inflation and against a volatile stock market. A truly diversified portfolio isn't just more stocks and bonds, but different asset classes. This brand new platform allows you to make investments in gold and silver, no matter how small or large, with just a few clicks. Visit legacypm.com to get started. You can download the free investor's guide, and you can also call Legacy PM Investments to talk to a portfolio expert to get expert answers to your to customize your personal portfolio. So visit legacypminvestments.com to get started. Tell them that Jenna sent you. And I'd like to welcome in now Congressman Jim Jordan, who is one of the leaders on the Judiciary Committee that will be part of this impeachment inquiry. Good morning, sir, and congratulations on getting this off the ground. I think certainly anyone who cares about the responsibility, really, of impeachment and the duty of Congress to conduct this inquiry are very grateful to the Speaker and to all of you that have been working diligently on this. So what do you expect now in the forthcoming days and weeks for this inquiry?
We're going to continue to do our work, but I expect the pace to pick up. And as the Speaker's been clear, when you get into an impeachment inquiry phase of our oversight duty, which is part of our constitutional duty. When you get into that phase, it helps you when you get into the inevitable back and forth with the executive branch and have to go to court. Courts have been, I think, much more willing to say, okay, the Speaker of the House has now said they're in an impeachment inquiry phase. The guy who's second in line to the president, pretty important guy in our government. When he says that, this is a duty that's specific to the House of Representatives. If they need information, we should be inclined to rule in their favor to get that information. Now, it may not mean we always get that, but we think it helps us when we get into this inevitable back and forth with the executive branch over documents that we think we need and witnesses that we need to depose. So that's I think the sort of why we go there. But what drove us to this was the facts, and we should always be driven by the facts and the evidence in the Constitution. And that's why the Speaker made the decision that he did and announced that yesterday.
And a lot of people are asking why it took so long for Speaker McCarthy to get to this point. He started, obviously, speakership in January. It's now September. Should this have come earlier, or why did it take so long to get to this stage?
Well, again, I think it's always driven by the facts and the evidence. And we've been compiling that. Chairman Comer, Chairman Smith have been doing great work. And there are all kinds of facts now that I think warrant moving here. But the four central facts are Hunter Biden was put on the Burisma board. Second, he wasn't qualified to be on the board. He said that himself. Third, the head of Burisma and Hunter Biden, the head of Burisma asked that certain things be done to relieve the pressure that Burisma was under, this Ukrainian energy company, the pressure they were under from the prosecutor. And then fourth and most important, Joe Biden did just that. He leveraged American tax dollars to get that prosecutor fired. And that fourth step, that fourth fact, validates what was in the 1023 form that the Justice Department wouldn't let us see. The 1023 form that the confidential human source said that this thing happened where they were paid for certain policy preferences. So those are the central facts, and you got all the other facts around that I think buttress those. But those four central facts are the key, and that's why we're digging into this, and we're going to try to do it, I think, now in an expedited and as quick a fashion as we can, because again, that's what I think our duty is under the Constitution.
And a lot of the Democrats, of course, are now pushing back and saying that this is just political revenge. And Chuck Schumer, I was playing some sound earlier that he said that this is absurd and actually called it a witch hunt, which, you and I were there during President Trump's first total sham impeachment, and he called it a witch hunt. How ridiculous is it to you that now the Democrats are using that line when clearly this is a justifiable constitutional basis to open the inquiry, and yet they're using that same tactic?
Well, Jenna, how about the irony? They impeached President Trump because they said he held up money to get certain policy things done in Ukraine, and he didn't do that. They got the money, and they didn't do anything for it. They got the money. But that's exactly what Joe Biden did. So they impeached President Trump for something that Joe Biden actually did that President Trump didn't do. There's the irony. So for them to call this a witch hunt, it's like, are you kidding me? You impeached President Trump for this issue, which he didn't do, and Joe Biden did, and it's confirmed by that confidential human source, the information he gave us. So that to me is like, they can say what they want, but the facts are the facts. And I haven't even gotten into all the supporting facts. 10% for the big guy, 50% for Pops, those emails. Everyone has confirmed that 10% for the big guy is in fact Joe Biden. Devin Archer is the guy who said that there was this is under when he's in a deposition under oath, and he said there was pressure that Burisma said they were under, and they called D.C. to get that pressure relieved. And 5 days later, Joe Biden goes to Ukraine and starts to relieve that pressure and says, fire the prosecutor. There's the 5,000 emails with the pseudonym. There's the changing story from the White House. There's the multiple Biden getting paid. There's the 20 different shell companies set up. So all that evidence, and they call it a witch hunt. It's just like it's almost laughable the way the Democrats treat this. I don't think the American people see that the way they do. And our job is, again, just to focus on the facts and the evidence and move forward.
Yeah, and to just laugh at them, really. And the mainstream media is also, of course, treating this like it's something that they're not even paying attention to, and they're so combative already against this and saying, well, and I was listening to a couple of the pundits yesterday saying, well, there's no evidence, and then when they push back, they say, well, there's no direct evidence, and they keep pivoting, and it's not. Again, what we saw in 2019 with that first actual witch hunt of President Trump, with the mainstream media waiting with bated breath to see President Trump getting impeached, and they were all for it. Now we see a hostile media that is trying on purpose to either diminish what you're doing in Congress or to simply misdirect and not really cover it at all. And so what can and should the American people be paying attention to in terms of what will be forthcoming in the next days and weeks, even if the mainstream media isn't willing to cover it?
It's just the facts. I mean, look, we're going to continue to look at the facts. And I think the one thing we haven't got into here is, in addition to all the facts surrounding this, in addition to the four central facts regarding Hunter Biden, Burisma, and Joe Biden, In addition to all that is the way the Justice Department handled the investigation into Hunter Biden. The sweetheart deal that the judge declined to take, all the things we've heard from the whistleblowers, that to me says so much as well about how this whole thing needs to be investigated further and needs to move to this phase of our constitutional duty to do oversight. So that's what I think is really important. We have an important hearing next week where we have Merrick Garland coming in front of the Judiciary Committee, and I'm sure he's going to get questions from our members regarding the way the Biden investigation was handled and the way David Weiss and his team conducted that investigation.
And Representative Jim Jordan, last question for you as well. As you were following where the facts and the evidence lead, are you concerned about the very slim majority of Republicans in actually getting to articles of impeachment and voting on those if indeed this is where this is headed? Are you concerned about the slim majority? No, I'm not. I mean, I think it's, again, if the facts are there, then that's the key. And look, there's lots of facts which I think more than warrant moving to this phase of our oversight. And we'll just continue to do our work. And, part of my responsibility as the guy who gets the privilege of being on the Judiciary Committee and the Oversight Committee and Chairman Comer and Chairman Smith is to make sure our colleagues are abreast of all the information, all the evidence, all the facts, and we will do the best we can to make sure that our team understands what's going on. Frankly, the whole House. I think Democrats would want to know about all the facts and the evidence as well. So we're gonna focus on that work. Yeah, well, hopefully the Democrats are concerned with the facts and evidence instead of just their own narrative. So, Representative Jim Jordan, really appreciate you dropping by this morning. Thank you for all of the hard work that you are doing in Congress. We are praying for you. We are praying for this impeachment inquiry, and we will continue to follow it. So we'll be right back with more here on Jenna Ellis in the Morning. Welcome back, and joining me now is Congressman Mike Johnson from the great state of Louisiana and part of House leadership to tell us more about what's going on with this impeachment inquiry. So good morning, Representative Johnson, and thanks so much for joining.
Hey, Jenna, great to be with you as always.
Yeah, so I think that the first question on everybody's mind is this actually going to result in an actual impeachment of Joe Biden, and why did it take this long to get to this stage?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I was home during August a lot. We were on district work period. I did town halls all over my district, and that was the big question of my constituents as well. And I explained to them that there's really a couple of answers to that really important and simple question. First of all, we have to remember that next to a declaration of war, impeachment is probably the most awesome power that Congress has. I mean, the idea that you could move to remove a president from office is a big thing, and the founders intended it to be very rarely and carefully used, and that's why there's only been 21 examples of impeachment in 247 years of our country. That's all that we've had, and we've rarely ever done it for a president. The problem that we have in our minds right now is that the Democrats, of course, completely abused that awesome power by using it as a political weapon against Donald Trump. And so I served on the impeachment defense team twice for our former president and was intimately involved in how they abused that process. And I promised, as did Jim Jordan and all of us involved in that so closely, on record and on video 1,000 times, that we would never use this for political purposes. It can't be. It's not a pledge you make on the campaign trail. It shouldn't be a threat. It's not a political exercise at all. We have to follow the law. Now, the Constitution is very clear how you do this, and the sole power of impeachment belongs at the House, but you have to have a very methodical, you should do this, a very methodical investigation to line up all the evidence and facts to ensure that they do point you towards impeachment. And that's what we've been doing. It's been very difficult. The reason it's taken so long is that the federal agencies and the White House itself that are required to supply information to the House when we're seeking it have been stonewalling us. They have impeded this investigation. They fought us at every turn. At some point, they told us things that weren't accurate and true. And so it's taken quite a while to get to this point. The Oversight Committee, under the leadership of my good buddy Jamie Comer, has done an extraordinary job. We've been doing investigations in my Judiciary Committee, as you know, on my Weaponization Committee, and it has led us to the point where now we're moving to impeachment inquiry because the evidence requires us to do so. And that's what you're going to see in earnest now.
And what a great contrast to how the Democrats have abused not only the power of impeachment, but the power of indictment and the power of a lot of other offices that they are looking to weaponize government. And they have weaponized government against their political opponents, namely Donald Trump, over the last few years. And so this is a contrast. And so what is your response then to Chuck Schumer, who, of course, came out from Senate leadership and just called this a witch hunt, which, frankly, I mean, I was there in the first impeachment as well, right there with you. That's how you and I actually got to know each other. Yeah. And I actually found that very offensive, that he would call this a witch hunt and try to spin this as merely political retribution for everything that they did for Donald Trump. But I think some people out there would say that's okay, even if it is political retribution.
Yeah, some people will say that, but as one who took an oath to uphold the Constitution, I have an obligation, an ethical, a moral, a legal obligation to keep this between the lines. And what I mean by that is that we are going to follow the Constitution. I am reminding my colleagues here, this is not about going to get a political scalp as retribution for what they did to Donald Trump. It can't be, because if we reduce ourselves to that, we're just like Chuck Schumer and the Democrats, who are quite literally, Jenna, as you know, destroying our system of justice. They weaponize the DOJ. They weaponize all these processes. And that's why the American people are losing their faith in our institutions. Hello, we have to maintain those institutions to keep the republic. This is very serious stuff. But if we follow the Constitution, this is what it says very plainly. You and I know the language by heart. It's Article 2, Section 4. It says a president shall be removed from office on impeachment of and conviction for treason, bribery, high crimes, and misdemeanors. Now, that language is very precise, and we argued for years during the Trump years about what a high crime and misdemeanor is, okay? Everybody knows what a bribe is, right? And what we have right now in our hands and on my desk, I'm looking at stacks of evidence, Jenna, as I'm talking to you in my office here in the Cannon House office building. We have credible allegations and mounting stacks of evidence to show that President Biden engaged in bribery schemes. He engaged in a pay-by-play schemes. He certainly committed high crimes and misdemeanors, but we've got very clear evidence of corruption that is so broad and wide and so obvious that we have no choice but to proceed. So it doesn't matter what Chuck Schumer says. He's a barking dog at this point on this politics stuff. He has no credibility at all. Of course he's going to protect the president. We could catch Joe Biden in the act of robbing a bank, and he would say that was okay. I mean, they're going to protect their guy at all costs, but we have to do our job under the Constitution, and I am doggedly determined to do that. We're going to follow this truth wherever it leads.
And following the truth wherever it leads is absolutely the right way to go about it. And I think you are absolutely right to be dedicated to the language and the text of the U.S. Constitution and the intent of that law, that it isn't just political retribution. Because if this continues down that road, at least in the Democrats' mind, you're right that they are trying to tear down all of our institutions of government. They're trying to weaponize all of the processes. And then where does that lead? Because then as soon as Democrats get in power, then they just try to go after Republicans. And then if Republicans get in power, they go after the Democrats. And then the American people aren't even being served. So what do you expect then, Congressman Mike Johnson, from at least the next few weeks and months? How long is this inquiry going to take? Is there already a plan for how many subpoenas are going to be issued? You know, some of those details, if you can share them at this point.
Well, I don't know about some of those details. I do know that we are going to work as efficiently, effectively, quickly as possible. The whole purpose of moving to the impeachment inquiry phase, and I'm so grateful that Speaker McCarthy finally did that, is that it gives us sort of advanced authority and power to go for these subpoenas and to gather this documentation. See, everybody has to remember, in a normal circumstance, Congress is limited in its scope. If a congressional committee is doing an investigation, it has to be tied to a legitimate legislative purpose. You know, we're going to write a law or reform a law to make things work better. But that's not what this is anymore, of course. It's like a criminal investigation, effectively. And so you have to have the inquiry declared, because that allows us to go and gather documents that they would otherwise Stonewall. They've been doing that for some time now and saying, oh, you don't have a legislative purpose in this. You're just, quote unquote, after the Biden family. No, we're after the truth. And so when they challenge our subpoenas at the White House level or at one of these agencies like the DOJ, like they have been, we'll go straight to court. And the judge will look at this and say, well, this isn't a normal congressional investigation. This is now an impeachment inquiry. This is the most serious matter under our Constitution, and therefore you have to turn over those documents. That's what you're going to see here. You're going to see a lot of, I predict, some court clashes, and it will take a little bit of time to sort that out. But we're working 24/7 on this because it's the highest priority, and we have to get the truth to the American people.
And speaking of some of those court clashes, there was an article in Politico that actually gave rise to one of these potential challenges. And the title here is How Donald Trump's DOJ Gave Biden a Major Assist in the Coming Impeachment Probe. And it's talking about how in January 2020, the Donald Trump-led Justice Department formally declared that impeachment inquiries by the House are invalid unless the chamber takes a formal vote to authorize them. That opinion that was issued by the Justice Department's Office of Legal Counsel came in response to then House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's decision to launch an impeachment inquiry into Trump without initially holding a vote for it. And so the argument is that not only is it still on the books, but that it's binding on the current administration, even though Nancy Pelosi went ahead and that full impeachment and the vote for the articles of impeachment happened and the trial in the Senate happened. And there's still, some Democrats are still trying to disqualify Donald Trump on the ballot and have other things happen because of that impeachment and what was alleged there, even though he was exonerated. So is that a potential issue with the Office of Legal Counsel's opinion?
No, I think it's fine. I mean, everybody has to recognize we've not precluded a vote on the floor, and the speaker could call one at any time. What he was trying to do, we're in the midst right now, as anybody who's paying attention recognizes, we have a fiscal cliff on September 30th, the end of the fiscal year. We've got appropriations bills and spending battles and all sorts of debates going on right now on the floor and in between votes and everything else. And so there's a lot going on. So for the sake of expediency and because the evidence has taken us to this moment, the speaker stepped out and said, let's go. I declare that this is now an inquiry phase and let's move forward. We may well have a vote. It could be happening next week. I'm not sure. It's the speaker's call. But what he wanted to do is press that button so that our committees who are also doing all these things, oversight, judiciary, weaponization, even ways and means, seeking the tax corruption information, that we now have that expanded authority to move forward, and we can formalize it at any point. So I think it's much ado about nothing, frankly, in my view. Pelosi sets the precedent, and they all applaud it until the Republicans utilize the same precedent, and then suddenly it's scandalous. I mean, this is typical playbook for the other side.
Yeah, this sounds like typical politicking, and so is that potentially a basis for some of these agencies or the Biden White House to say, well, we're not going to cooperate with any of this expanded power unless and until you hold that vote, and essentially try to strong arm the speaker into calling it maybe sooner than he otherwise would?
Well, I don't know. We'll have to see how it plays out. But if they try that, I mean, we can call the vote the same afternoon. I don't have any doubt that we'll have the votes to proceed formally. It's just a matter of floor time this week. I mean, to me, I think it's just very practical. We're managing the clock, and we've got a lot to do here before September 30th. And it's a lot of it has to do with the budget and keeping the government open. So that's a priority that's top of the list for everybody. But this is a major priority as well. We've got to do both.
Yeah, and I think that everyone is still concerned about everything else going on with the system of government and keeping everything running. And so in the midst of all of this as well, what is the general tenor with some of your colleagues across the aisle? I mean, are there any Democrats that are actually looking at the piles of evidence that you're talking about, you're looking at right now, and saying, yeah, he might be our guy on our party, but we want to follow where the facts and evidence show? Or is this really going to come down to just the simple fact that Republicans do have the majority, and so they're willing to actually look into this? Is there any sense potentially that that this could be bipartisan at the end of the day?
Well, look, I think the evidence is going to require it. I think anyone and the reason that I'm anxious to prepare this evidence, and I do this, my personal belief is because I've seen so much of this because I'm on the committees of jurisdiction, I think the evidence is going to lead into an impeachment. We've not prejudged that, but I'm just basing it on what I personally know and have seen. I think we connect one or two more dots, and you've got the president himself directly engaged in bribery schemes. That's where I think this is headed. So that being the case, I think the evidence will be so clear. The next stage, then we would ultimately file and pass articles of impeachment in the House, and then it goes to the Senate for the actual trial of the Senate. Everybody knows this process well because they used it on Trump twice. I expect that I may be one of the managers presenting that case in the Senate. And when we do, you will see something very different than what the Democrats did. It will be a very methodical presentation of real hard evidence, not crazy theories and political ideas like they did against Donald Trump. And I think that evidence is going to be so clear. I think the trail will be so obvious that anyone of good conscience in good faith, will have to look at that and say, yes, he's guilty of this. So Jenna, I don't know how they're going to vote in the end. I don't know that you get a lot of Democrat votes, but I think there's some over there whose own constituents will look them in the eye and say, what are you talking about? Of course this is clear. Of course they're corrupt. You saw some interesting developments in the last 24 or 36 hours. The David Ignatius piece in the Post and some other high-level Democrats who are now openly saying, well, maybe Joe Biden's not cut out for this. Maybe he's too old. I think that's their excuse. One of the excuses they're using because they realize he is tainted now, and he not be their best candidate in 24. So we'll see how it all shakes out.
Yeah, and Congressman Mike Johnson, I think this is also really interesting to see whether the Democrats will ultimately just give up and almost concede the issue, because we are heading into the presidential primary season. And, obviously on the GOP side, that has been majorly contested already, and everybody is up and running there. But on the Democrat side, what they're potentially going to respond to all of this. And so it's going to be very interesting to see. But as you say, I think for the American people, and certainly for Christian conservatives, we need to remember that this isn't about politics now. This is about the rule of law. This is about going where the facts and evidence do lead. So we will be praying for you consistently in this endeavor, for your colleagues, and that everyone, Republican or Democrat, will look clearly at this and will do the right thing ultimately in voting and follow where the facts and evidence lead, so that we can continue to keep a good precedent and to continue to secure our institutions of government and uphold the U.S. Constitution, not just make this a political exercise. So thank you so much for everything that you do there in Congress and for joining me. We are praying for you and appreciate all of the hard work that you do on behalf of the American people. Thank you.
With inflation, the banking world collapse, and everything that Joe Biden is doing not to protect America, you need to make sure to secure your financial health, especially in retirement. And hey, if you're a millennial like me, that actually is sooner than you think. You need to start now, even if you are a millennial or a Gen Zer, to make sure that your financial health is actually healthy when we get to retirement. And Legacy Precious Metals has a revolutionary new online platform that allows you to invest in gold and silver online in real time. In a few easy steps, you can open an account online, select your metals of choice, and choose to have them stored in a vault or shipped right to your door. You'll have access to a dashboard where you can track your portfolio growth in real time anytime. You'll see transparent pricing on each coin and bar, and this puts you in complete control of your money. The platform is free to sign up for. Visit legacypminvestments.com and open your account and see this new investing platform for yourself. Gold hedges against inflation and against a volatile stock market. A truly diversified portfolio isn't just more stocks and bonds, but different asset classes. This brand new platform allows you to make investments in gold and silver, no matter how small or large, with just a few clicks. Visit legacypm.com to get started. You can download the free investor's guide, and you can also call Legacy PM Investments to talk to a portfolio expert to get expert answers to your to customize your personal portfolio. So visit legacypminvestments.com to get started. Tell them that Jenna sent you. On MyPillow's 20-year anniversary, with over 80 million MyPillows sold, Mike Lindell wants to thank each and every one of you by giving you the lowest price in history on his MyPillows. You will receive a queen-size MyPillow for only $19.98. The regular price is $69.98 and just $10 more for a king size. You'll receive deep discounts on all MyPillow products such as bed sheets, mattress toppers, pet beds, mattresses, my slippers, which I love, and so much more. This is the time to try out some of the amazing products you've had your eye on from MyPillow. So go to mypillow.com and enter promo code Jenna to receive this amazing offer on the queen size MyPillow for $19.98. You can go to mypillow.com or call 1-800-564-8475. Be sure to use the promo code Jenna. This offer comes with a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. It's time to start getting the quality sleep you deserve. This offer comes with a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. It's time to start getting the quality sleep you deserve. Go to mypillow.com, use the promo code Jenna.